The power of the pause. What is the pause? Part of my work is I like to think of myself as a body ecologist, studying the ecology of the body, how we are part of the natural world, how our body is designed as a living element that encompasses river, rock, tree, earth. And one of the ways I want to present this and contextualize my practice today with you is looking at three elements: breath, structure, attention. Now, breath, of course, is our original movement. And in breath is also the experience of movement and stillness. I like to think of breath being like the river that's coursing through us. And it's our structure that is like the riverbanks. And just like the riverbanks, our structure holds and shapes the flow of our breath. The river of breath also impacts the riverbanks. So when we are in the movement of breath, and I like to think of breath as being simply a movement instead of just one segmented thing, but it's part of how our whole organism engages with life. So the river of breath, how it impacts our structure, and then there's our attention. How does our attention spotlight these different aspects of the breath of our structure? So I'm going to interchangeably play with these, and we're going to continue to kind of move back and forth with attention to breath, with structure to movement to stillness. And then at the end, I will kind of open it up for questions or responses. But ultimately, I want to give you an experience and let the work speak to you instead of telling you what you should get out of it, right? For me, that's really important. How can you be your own scientist and play with these resources and notice what it does for you? So, inhale, exhale. So just begin inviting in awareness of your breath. You don't have to do anything. You can if you like. But what happens when you inhale and exhale? Feel free to close your eyes if you like, so you can have a more interior experience. And now as you begin to just settle into your breath, that inhale, that exhale, to highlight the pause that's at the top of the inhale. Inhale, pause, exhale. Inhale, pause, exhale. And the next time you inhale, to let your pause last a millisecond longer. And then release the breath. And try that on a few times. Just extend the pause at the top of the inhale. So you're not trying to count breaths, you're not trying to make something happen, just to easily be in your own rhythm. And then let that go. One of the things that's important for me in terms of encouraging inquiry into breath is to titrate and modulate the amount of new information. I like to call this the power of three. So 3 repetitions of something new, and just let it go. Return to automatic breathing. Let your attention go somewhere else, and then dive back in again. So 3 repetitions of the breath with the pause extenuated at the top of the inhale. Let it go. And then this time, as you return to automatic breathing, your attention going elsewhere, to close your eyes for a moment and bring your attention into your structure. In particular, to your back body. So letting your attention settle in your back body. And now with your attention on your back body, to inhale once again, and this is something that's referred to as cyclical sighing or physiological sighing, you're just going to simply interrupt your inhale. So you begin to breathe in through the nose, and halfway up in the inhale, pause for a moment, then continue the inhale, pause at the top of the inhale, and then let a nice long exhale follow. So subdividing your inhale in half. Inhale, pause, continuing the inhale, pause, followed by a long exhale. You can breathe out through the nose or through the mouth, either one, whichever speaks to you. And noticing how that movement of the breath impacts your structure. So as a rule of thumb, as I continue on, try something on for 3 breath cycles, let it go. And that letting it go and moving into automatic breathing or whatever you want to do is a way to pause. So you focus your attention on this interrupted inhale, 3 breath cycles, and then you pause from the activity. And then when you've paused long enough, jump back in. Now, of course, when we try something new on, it kind of seems to be a universal phenomena that there's a certain amount of trying or muscular effort to make something happen, to kind of get the neural groove happening. So the next time you return to the interrupted inhale, use 30% less effort and notice what that offers you. The pause is just as important as the activity itself. Rudolf Laban would call it exertion and recuperation. And let's take a collective pause all together. And as you pause and rest your attention in yourself, so you rest your attention, you let your structure come to rest, and you let your breath come to rest. So it's just happening in its own way. And now to integrate the movement of our breath with the movement of our structure, as you do the interrupted inhale to let your structure be still, and as you express the exhale to begin to let your skull move easily. So the inhale is the preparation for movement. The exhale is the expression of movement. Now, of course, this can be an inner practice. And now I'd like to take it to another step, which is to make it, in a sense, a practice that includes perception of the environment, because our eyes and the way that we use our attention adds a whole other dimension. So to open your eyes, if you've been internal, inhales, stillness of the structure. Exhale is the movement of your skull. Then when you are still on the next inhale, simply just notice where your gaze is landing. Letting your skull move around. Pausing on the inhale, gazing. Moving your skull on the exhale. And then forget all of that. Let yourself simply daydream in movement. Eyes open, eyes closed. Movement or stillness. So in the background of your awareness is all these things we've touched on. And now just allow yourself that freedom of movement and stillness, of your breath, of your structure, and your attention. You might find you want to move your structure more, or you want to move your structure less. You might find you want your eyes open more, or your eyes closed. What gives you satisfaction, comfort, and ease right now? And once again, taking a collective pause. Letting your attention rest, your structure rest, and your breath rest. So I want to share with you a quote that really speaks to me so much about this practice. It comes from Shunryu Suzuki, the Zen master, who said, "To stop your mind does not mean to stop the activities of your mind. It's to let your mind pervade your whole body." And for me, that's really the essence of somatic practice. How to use my whole inner intelligence to begin to create movement and stillness in my structure, in my breath, in my thinking. So this practice, a really easy, transportable way that I encourage my students to take this out into life. As you're on your way in the day, if something, just for whatever reason, catches your eye, stop, take 3 breaths, just really let your attention rest there, let it pause there, and then move on. And I like to think of this practice being like punctuation in a sentence. Unless you're James Joyce, of course, and can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on for 3 pages without punctuation. Most of us write with punctuation. We speak with punctuation. So implicit in speech, in writing, is the pause. And it's using the pause to interrupt the ongoing set that we might find ourselves in, whether it's the head whirling and whirling and whirling, or just being an automatic pilot and doing whatever we need to do to survive. The power of the pause is just stop. 3 breaths, move on. And sometimes in that 3 breaths, you might like, oh, I want to linger here a little longer. I want more. But just that much punctuation of the pause throughout the day begins to just gently rewire our nervous systems. For me, what's really important is how can we take direct action with our own organism to empower our ability to charge up and chill out at will. It is implicit in our system. So that's the kind of the takeaway, the action strategy I want to offer you. Stop. Take 3 breaths. Move on. Stop. Take 3 breaths. And just give yourself some delicious movement.